I'm sure that if you've been a GM, especially if you're a GM who makes their own homebrewed worlds, that oftentimes your first instinct is to create an awesome world map, filled with locations, each with its own characters, lore, and backstory. Naturally, next thing you want to do is put it straight into the hands of your players, so that they too can get really excited about the prospect of exploring every little nook and cranny of that world. But hold your horses there, buddy, because that might not be the best idea. So let's face it, maps are awesome. They can be beautiful, intricate, and perhaps most of all, they can represent that wondrous feeling so many of us go to play games for in the first place: exploration and discovery. But the truth is, sometimes they can quite counterintuitively do the exact opposite. To explain why, let's look to our other favorite medium, video games, for some examples. Starting with So if our goal is to present our players with the thrill of exploring a wide open world and uncovering all of its secrets, what could possibly excite them, and maybe terrify them, more than a journey into the unknown? Be it marching an army that inexplicably fits inside your saddlebags through a mysterious landscape in search of enemies to fight and treasure to hoard in Heroes of Might and Magic, or taking on the monumental task of filling in the otherwise blank map of Azeroth in World of Warcraft, or even gathering strategic information on an opponent's schemes and whereabouts in a competitive game like StarCraft. The allure of taking on that otherwise unknown inky expanse known as the Fog of War is undeniable. So if you're having your players start their campaign off in the obligatory small town tavern, sometimes it's just best to say, sorry, no one in the town has a map of the land. If you want one, you'll have to look elsewhere. This has the added benefit of making your world feel massive as your players travel from one town to the next with nothing to go on except for the word of the people who live there, an endless road, and maybe a few signposts to guide them. The world and its borders remain as seemingly infinite and unknowable as the nothingness that envelops the players, and the only way to turn that nothing into something is to actively explore it. You don't have to do this, of course, and even if you do, eventually you're probably going to want to give your players at least a partial map of the world that they've been exploring for so long. But when you do, you might also want to consider let's look to perhaps one of the most beloved open world games in recent history to explore this idea. Skyrim, a game with a world so captivating that it survived what, like 1,000 re-releases by now? Here's a game that gives you the map right off the bat. A massive, beautiful 3D expanse that just begs you to sink your adventurous teeth into it. But besides the sprawling green landscapes, the huge snow-capped mountains, and perhaps a hint of a few of the biggest cities within, and we get nothing. Not one of the... how many? 343? Wow. Not one of those caves, camps, towns, temples, dungeons, or otherwise dangerous and fascinating locales even exist on your map. At least not until you've actively gone and explored them yourself, or at least heard about them through other means. This means that any information you do put on your map feels earned, and not only that, but it excites you to engage with the world in a constant attempt to uncover every single one of its little secrets. So just remember, whenever you're giving your players information in something like the form of a map, that the information that you choose to omit can be just as important, if not more important, than the information that you choose to give out freely. So I think that'll have to do it for this week's episode, since we're probably already running pretty long as is, but that by no means that the conversation ends here. There's so much more to be learned about how something as seemingly simple as a map can open up an entire world of possibility to engage your players. So by all means, go and dive into one of your own favorite open world RPGs and see if you can figure out what they did to make navigating their world feel so special.
Jono.
What?
I think the camera's still on. Anyways, guys, it seems my friend Jono has forgotten to tell you to click and subscribe. I mean, yeah, see, this is why I'm behind the camera. But like and subscribe, and yeah, thank you, and have a good day. Jono, I told him the thing.